Hey everyone, and welcome to HangOutlander. And I'm trying to sing to get in a better mood because I don't want to be here tonight. All right, hey. So we're talking about Outlander. It's episode 13 of season 3. It's called Eye of the Storm. It's the finale of season 3, you guys. It's over. It's been a very long semester of Outlander. It started like at Comic-Con and we saw the episode, and if you were us, you saw more than the first episode that weekend. So you were like, season 3, and that was July, and it's almost Christmas. I got my stockings up, and I didn't turn my lights on tonight because they were bothering Joanna Kuhn and giving her a seizure last time because there was one string blinking. So I turned them off tonight. You're welcome, Joanna.
See, you complain, you get your way.
That's right.
If you listen to the commenters.
That's right. We care about you guys. A lot of you said that we're too mean-spirited, and that makes me feel bad, makes my chest hot, makes me feel like Jesus doesn't love me anymore, so I try to tone it down. However, I was really glad not to see any Sophie Skelton in this episode, so there you go. That's how mean-spirited I'm going to be tonight.
She's not being her true self. Jesus.
This is my true self. He knows me. He knows me. All right. My tagline tonight is Farewell, Geillis and HangOutlander. Last week, we talked about how cool it would be if Geillis hung around and was like a villain for a lot longer. Because I don't remember I remember one villain in season 4, but I don't remember him being around for a long time. So I don't really know the villains in season 4 and how they come into play. And I kind of don't care. So I was like, oh, it would be cool if she was like still around, chasing him around, looking for like virgin boys and hating on Claire.
Uh-oh.
So I'm saying goodbye. And we're saying goodbye to HangOutlander because this is the last one.
You froze there for a second, Beth.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. You're saying goodbye. That's what
you're saying goodbye. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry I froze. Becca, say hello. I'll quit talking.
Hi, I'm Becca. I'm having some wine. Gosh, we're done. We made it. It feels like this episode was a million years long, partly because they didn't have a break. The first 2 seasons, they had like a good 4-week break. I don't know, longer. Like there was a long break between season 1 and 2, or between season 1, part 1 and 2, right?
Right. There was, several months. Yeah.
Which I think this show could use. I wonder if they'll bring that back for season 4. Like, I feel like it was a lot, especially because it was such a natural break, right? With where the trajectory went. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again, but we survived. Who knows? Did we have any inkling of when the season 4 is coming back?
They're filming it right now, but I don't know when that.
You don't say. You don't say. Did we see a teaser? Did we get to see a teaser? It was pretty good, guys.
We did see a teaser. It was not good. No,
it was not good. We'll talk about that. Yeah, I'm here. I'm having wine. It's a Monday night. What can I say? I'm in a sweatshirt. Good to see ya. I'm on YouTube. As you remember, Julie's hanging out on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. Tonight, you guys, guess what we're going to give away? If I were prepared, I would go and get it from my office, but I'm not prepared. But I have this amazing tote bag from Comic-Con that I want to keep, but I'm not gonna. It's that great. And I never say that about Outlander crap. You know I'm looking to get rid of that shit. So whoever hangs out with us and makes us laugh or cry or whatever is going to win this awesome tote bag. You can live wherever you want. If you live in Australia, we're going to spend $35 to ship it to you. Promise.
No, if you make us cry, we're not sending it to you. I'm sick of people telling us that we're the worst.
I don't mean like in a bad way.
Okay.
We're going to give a hater a tote bag. I mean like you make us cry from your sad sob story about how you fell in love with this man that you met watching the 2nd episode or something. I don't know. That would make me cry tonight.
I hope that's not true. Julie, say hello.
Hi, I'm Julie for the final HangOutlander of the year. So can't wait to discuss it. Yay! I'll be tweeting, and I'm sorry if I don't repost your tweets. I'll try to repost all of them that are amazing and don't make us cry. And we're not horrible people. We're lovely people, and you are just jealous, I guess. I don't know. So yay!
Say hello, Heidi.
Hi guys. It's been a day. It's been a I don't know if it's the Christmas thing or what. And my youngest 2-year-old has a double ear infection and my 5-year-old has a sinus infection. And so I have a bad attitude, but I am ready to talk about Outlander. I'm drinking some tea and some water and ready to go.
I want to
Let's do it.
know how your hair is so brunette after being blonde for so long, because when I dye mine back brown like I did last winter, did not stay brown for long.
From washing or from what? I don't know. I haven't really done it yet.
Well, because it's got bleach underneath it.
Oh, well, it's got like my roots are pretty dark, so they're really dark, and then it's a little lighter underneath. So we'll see how long it lasts. I don't know. We'll see.
Looks pretty.
Thank you.
I think you're always so much more bleached than Heidi was, or I was.
Oh, it's way bleach. Yeah,
you're just like a big old bottle of bleach.
Yep. Anyway, let's talk about Stephen Cree's Twitter real quick, like Heidi's tagline says, because I like it and I want to get through like some rumors before we get into the episode. I love Stephen Cree's Twitter. I don't think we have any Trump/Outlander, that Venn diagram of fan. I don't think that particular vagina is in our group of people that watch.
Was that a ding? Was that one of them?
Maybe. But if they are, like, you guys are the worst. You're legitimately the worst people on earth. Not only because you are Trump fans and he's the worst, and I don't mind saying that, but because you like Outlander so much that you talk shit to the actors that aren't even on it anymore. I can't think of anything worse. Go away. But Stephen Cree, keep it up.
Can you give some context for like people who don't know everything about this world and me? Because I kind of sort of know about this, but not exactly. So tell us what happened.
Well, somebody else could do it. Somebody else tell us about it. You tell us about it, Heidi.
So Stephen Cree plays Ian, the older Ian, and he is surprisingly good looking in real life, as opposed to wigged Ian. They call him young Ian, so is it old Ian? Old Ian? I don't know. Jenny's browbeaten Ian. Oh, browbeaten Ian.
Browbeaten.
There it is.
Ian Senior. Keep going.
Okay. So he is pretty vocal on Twitter on his opinion on 45 and how he is not a big fan of him. And every once in a while, these women, it's always women, come out and say, like, you don't even live here. You can't register to vote here. You know, MAGA, the whole thing. And he just politely just rips them apart. And it's beautiful every time.
So this isn't just like a one-time thing, like the one tweet
over and over. Yeah.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, Richard Rankin gets in on it.
Yeah, it's really lovely. The last one he wrote somebody said, Darlene, you're an idiot.
Of course.
I just had a lovely meal. And she said to him, you have no idea what's going on over here, especially with such a closed mind and crappy attitude. Please just stop. How's things going over there for you? Not so great, eh? And he said, I just had a lovely meal and I'm about to watch the final episode of Blue Planet 2. I'm going to have a lovely cup of Earl Grey tea later and maybe even a cheeky wee biscuit. So on the contrary, I'm having a great time, Darlene. Merry Xmas.
He's such an asshole. It's great.
Yeah. He called Trump a maniac. He's the best.
Yeah. You know, the whole discussion, like with these people going online and saying, you're just an actor, just shut up and do your job. That is the most ignorant statement. And the fact that people think that that's an argument, like an actor's going to like, oh, you're right. I should shut up. Sure. My bad. Like,
I think the only thing I really know about this fight was the one tweet I saw where it said, my beloved Jamie and Claire would never have those political views or something like that.
And you're just like
they were part of the revolution. I think they probably would have some
also, your beloved Jamie and Claire are not real. They're not real.
Also, the biggest thing that I find to be humorous about it is the fact that Stephen Cree has a very small supporting role in this show and probably will never be on it ever again. He doesn't give a shit about how Outlander fans feel about him. It doesn't affect the rest of his career in any way. Sam and Katrina, they're the leads. They have to sell the show on a regular basis. He never has to do anything else for Outlander ever again if he doesn't feel like it. He might go to German Con if he feels like it to make, $5,000 for a weekend because y'all are all going to ask for a signature and then tell him that you don't like his views. But he doesn't give a shit what you think. You're so insulated. You think that all he cares about is Outlander? He doesn't care. Just like we don't care.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christ, it says behind Beth's head, kind of.
Merry Christmas. I think that Julie needs to talk about the Golden Globes. Scott Kyle was
Scott Kyle.
He's Golden Globe robbed.
Right. Well, so Scott Kyle, once again, my hashtag did not work for Scott Kyle for Globes. So sorry, Scott Kyle, who everybody knows befriends every Outlander fan on Twitter and all social media, and then dumps you until his bot decides to ask you for your friendship again. Golden Globes came out, and once again, Katrina Balfe is nominated. And I believe that's it.
That is it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That is it.
And this is for season 2, I believe. It's got to be season 2, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. But regardless, I'm okay with that. She's not going to win. Outlander isn't nominated in any other category, not for anything else.
Costumes?
Well, I didn't see the costumes, so maybe. But like, hey, Nikki. Nikki's here.
Hi. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. We're talking about Golden Globes.
Oh, perfect.
So what are you coming from?
I just happened to see Star Wars The Last Jedi. So, not just a little humble brag, but I want to hear all about Outlander. I talk about it for days.
Were there stars there? Like,
no, it was just a press screening, but they invited like local fans, like those people who dress up like the local 501. If you know anything about Star Wars.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I know who they are.
Yeah. So they invited them, so it was cool. I was like, oh, this is a smart idea, because when you have fans in a screening, they're going to be really excited, and cynical press can't, deny that. So
right.
That's awesome.
It was cool. Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad to be with you guys. Took me a little longer in traffic, but
it's okay.
We're just talking about fandom stuff. We haven't even gotten to it.
Oh, perfect.
and the fact that only Katrina Balfe was nominated, which obviously, which we were like, oh, she is the show. She is the star of the show. She's in every single episode compared to other people. And that people in the fandom are once again upset that Sam Heughan did not get nominated.
Can I tell a little secret about the industry?
Yeah, go for it.
This may not be a secret, and honestly, I didn't know this until like a couple of years ago. I only know this just because of some work stuff. But the way you get nominated is because your show, the producers or whoever, decides that they want to push you for nomination. So there's this huge application. There's all these things they have to submit, and it goes before the board or whatever. And then from that's who they choose to be nominated. So did they probably do a push for Sam? Maybe. But they definitely did a push for Katrina, and especially because she was picked before, right? This is her second nomination?
Yeah.
They did it again. And they probably did it for Sam too, is my guess. But they usually put their balls in one basket, eggs in a basket.
Eggs in a basket. All their eggs in a basket.
All their eggs in one basket.
And Sam had no balls to put into that basket.
The other thing about it is they usually only submit one episode or one section. Mm-hmm. So it's not based on an arc of a character. It's not based on a total performance. It's based on a very specific portion.
It's not like they're sending it to a team of diehard TV fans who watch everything and are the biggest Outlander fans and Walking Dead fans and whatever the new show is. I don't watch TV. And they literally just have to base it on this one performance, unless they kind of know, they're critics or whatever. They're part of this group. There's a whole bunch of people that get a say. But it's not I think, but I thought, just because I never really thought about it, it was literally just people who were in the know who were oh, she was really great in Outlander, we're going to vote for her. No, that's not how it works at all. It's completely political. It's paying money for applications, filling out this whole thing, submitting certain sections, and it's a luck of the draw, to be honest.
Yeah. And I'm glad that she's nominated. I don't think she's going to win. And I think people need to be prepared for that, because ignore the kid. But Outlander isn't nominated for anything else. It's not nominated for best drama. And The Handmaid's Tale is, and so is The Crown. So you could probably put your money on Claire Foy or Elizabeth Moss for that particular trophy and just be happy for Claire. But I think the biggest problem in fandom is that people can't say congratulations to Katrina without also saying in the same breath or the same tweet, but I wish Sam was nominated. He's being snubbed. He's being robbed. Like, just be happy for her and let that go and not.
And also, the show is like about her, right? The books are all like, obviously we think of Jamie, right? I think, but like sometimes I do forget that like it's a show completely about this one woman surrounding her in her life. And so, because we lose that a little bit because we get to see other perspectives, thankfully, from Outlander. But
and if we think about the two of them in regards to performance, her performance is more, for me, is more consistent. It's stronger. And if I'm pretty sure that the episode they submitted, because like you guys said, they can only submit one episode. I'm pretty sure they submitted the episode where she lost her child. And the emotional impact of that, that's what I think, because I thought that was really strong. But
I had a question, and so does the YouTubers. Is it for season 3 or season 2?
2, I believe.
I'm pretty sure it's 2.
People are kind of saying season 3. Heidi McClellan and Pam are saying 3, but I was wondering if it was 2 as well, just because of the timing.
I think it's based on the year it comes out. There's like a whole thing about when it comes out, but I believe it's for this like previous cycle.
Which is different for movies because the Golden Globes and movies are together. A lot of times, like movies that are just now out are nominated, but television shows that were out a year ago are nominated. So
like The Handmaid's Tale, that's been out for a year, right?
Right, and was nominated last year too.
And they didn't just nominate The Crown season 2; it's for The Crown season 1.
Right.
So.
Yes.
Right. They missed the cutoff. I think when Outlander, season 2 was wrapping up, I think they missed the cutoff for the Golden Globe nominations, so they couldn't do it. So with season 2, I believe it is for season 2. They missed the deadline.
Think about Sam in season 3. I think he would have a much better chance based on performance, especially early episodes are really, really good for him.
Yeah.
Not gonna say he's getting nominated, but you know.
And I think from what we've seen from him in season 4 so far, we could say that he's definitely going home with the Globe.
Let's talk about season 4 very quickly because, guys, we saw tiny little.
He's gonna get a haircut.
4. Guys, what are they? Why? Okay, my biggest problem with this little snippet of Claire and Jamie is that why do they infantilize Jamie so much? He looks like a little boy looking up at his mother, like after coming off the teat and being like, is that going to be our dream too, mommy? She's like, yes, it is, son. That's what it looks like.
It is like, that's what I didn't know why it bothered me so much when I first watched it. And then I read you saying that and I was like, oh, that's literally what it seems like. It's like her touch. Doesn't she like touch his face like this and say,
yeah,
I suppose it is.
It's so awkward that they're like, we're like, we made it. And there's this like whole family just standing there like, we're here to save you. You're in America. And they're like, oh my God, we made it. You don't exist. And literally I started laughing out loud when the family just kind of started like slowly walking away.
Yes, they don't
I'm sorry.
It was like the family goes, oh, another couple washed on the shore again. Not again. It's like collecting seashells. They collect humans.
Yeah, just like good luck. I mean, make it work for you. We were gonna help, but
I loved it too. We had a commenter on the blog say she lives in Georgia. She lives on the coast of Georgia. And she was like, there's no coast of Georgia. It's all islands. Like to get to the mainland, you have to go over a bridge. You can't get to the ocean directly from the main part of Georgia. It's just a chain of islands, which kind of made me laugh.
I haven't read Drums. Is this where they end up at? I thought it was like North Carolina or something like that.
They do end up in North Carolina, but they do. This is where they start out.
Start in Georgia. Mm-hmm. Is this the circumstance that? Okay.
I forgot. So let's talk about the episode because.
You think we've been on it for 20 minutes?
Yeah, I know. We've only talked 25 minutes. Let's start about we're talking about.
Let's talk about the finale.
Yeah, third period 13. I think because I said this last week. Obviously, we know me, my reputation. I forget everything. I don't really remember much from here on out. So it felt like I was watching something totally new that I have very little perception of. I was like, that didn't happen. That's not a storm that was in the books. And then I'm like, I think it may have happened in that way. So I overall opinion on this episode, I was watching it and I was like intrigued and I was interested in what was happening next. It wasn't blowing me away like I would love it to, or like some of the other episodes have, but this episode, like, I think was on par with some of the better episodes of the first half of the season, I would say.
I'd like that your review was, I was watching it. Not it was good, not it was shitty. I was watching it.
Well, I think because I'm like usually doing something else. I was like designing my Christmas cards, and then like every once in a while I'd like forget what I was doing and like actually watch it.
It was
not watching it.
It was a watchable episode. That doesn't necessarily mean that it was the greatest episode or that like everything that I was watching made sense, but it was watchable. That's high praise for this show, I think. Like sometimes that's all we can say.
Somebody on YouTube just thanked me for my perspective as an almost non-book reader. Hey, and I've actually read the next 2 books. So yeah, I'm like technically a really
or have you?
I know. I don't. Who knows?
I thought it really could have ended like after the whatever that fight was. I don't even know. I just felt like it felt like 2 different episodes. It was like I think it was the end of their fight in the cave, and I was like, oh well, this is it. And I like look at the runtime, and it's like 30 minutes, and I was like, what else are they gonna do?
Yeah,
I was like, it felt like 2 mini episodes they just threw together.
I feel like. Yeah, I felt like the same thing, Nick. I was like, oh, this is it. And then I was like, oh, no. And then and once again, like you said, you go, well, what else? And they're like, sex scene. We got to put in some sex in it. Let's do this. The most talking in a sex scene ever, too.
I thought a couple things. I thought Beth was wrong because last week she said there was no way we were getting sex.
That's true.
Number 2, I was thinking, I cannot wait to hear what Beth thinks about the sex scene. So, Beth, would you like the floor?
I wouldn't like the floor. I would like Jamie and Claire to maybe roll around on the floor and shut the hell up.
Thank you.
Guys, okay. We talked about at the beginning when we were doing In the Water Weeds, we talked about like verbatim Voyager, things that we wanted to see directly from the book on screen. We wanted Jamie to say the things that we love to hear Jamie say. This comes straight from the book. He says all of this shit to her. But it's horrible on screen. And it makes me so angry because I can't figure out why the sexy parts of the book, which are some of the things that we remember the most, do not translate directly to screen in a way that is believable or sexy. It kills it. It's gross. He's like rubbing her buttocks and saying things. And like, I am a mess of like grossed out. I feel like every show I've ever watched ever is sexier. Like Breaking Bad is sexier. Like shows with no sex in them whatsoever.
The Great British Bake Off.
It is.
You didn't love it when he was like, you have the biggest ass in the world, or whatever his line was. I was like,
no. Gross.
I mean, their chemistry, it's one of the things that makes the shippers so silly, because Sam and Katrina's chemistry is dorky as fuck. So they're not really having sex, you guys, because there's no possible way. None.
No.
And that's why season 2, if you remember, like people were mad about there was like a fade to black scene where he like lays her down and then you just see his chest outlined in this light and the light like comes down. And I was like, that was the hottest sex scene we've had in forever, because you didn't have to hear them talk and it faded away and we didn't have to see him do all the gross talking about her butt that he does. It's dumb and I hate it. I'm so embarrassed for them and I just, it's awful. I hate it.
I thought the turtle soup scene was hotter than that. And she's like fevered and it's awkward and there's a guy at the door listening. Like that was hotter than them talking for 30 minutes about doing it.
And then the breathing is so heavy. And you're just like, it's a turnoff. And I'm going to sit next to you and I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to roll over. I'm going to put you on top of me. And you're just like, it's embarrassing because it's like you're overhearing your mom and dad like discussing and you're like, No, and you could
no, it just should be funnier and less.
No.
Why did they make everything
Awkward.
so sultry?
I think it's like how they're being directed, like
Yeah.
be sexier, breathe heavier. Like instead of like, you've been married forever, why don't you make it a little more interesting?
Yeah.
While we were watching it, I was reminded, I think it was on a HangOutlander earlier on. I can't remember when it was, but we were talking about like what makes a sex scene hot, maybe in a book. And I remember Beth saying like, it's dirty talk. So I was watching it going like, oh my gosh, they're trying so hard for this to be hot, dirty talk, and it's not working. And I agree with you. I think what it comes down to is their chemistry doesn't work sexually. It doesn't work for me. She comes off as like the older sister who's like annoyed by Sam or by Jamie to me. Whereas when you saw her with Tobias, even in interviews, it was like sexy. Like they were sexy together, even talking about tennis. And I don't get that vibe from them. I just don't get that vibe from them. I mean, they look good together, but they don't come off the scene like, oh my gosh, they're so hot. I can't wait to hear him talk about his beard, between her legs, which should be hot. And it wasn't hot. It made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's like a kid learning how to cuss for the first time. And you're just like, don't talk like that. Don't, ooh. And they're trying things out and they're like, ooh, vagina, beard, between your legs, all that other things. And you're just like, go to your room. You go to your room and you think about what you've said. You know what I mean? It was forced. And it was for me just the passion was not there. And some things can translate well to screen. And this was not one of them, unfortunately. And it was such a great piece of dialogue in the book, but translated, no, it was not.
Yeah, it just doesn't translate well, and that's fine. Like, there's some of it was okay. Like when she first sits down and she's like, "Hey, leave your beard," and he just kind of looks at her. He's like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah." I mean, that was fine. And then it got weird, and she was kissing him while he had soap on his face, and I was like, "Oh no, that's gonna taste bad." Like I'm just like so out of it. It's not sexy. Oh gosh.
I see Kyle, our old friend Kyle, is in the comments, and he said when he saw the scene, he was like, what the F did Outlander begin like a straight up dirty XXX romance novel up in here? So Kyle was not a fan. There are some comments about liking their chemistry, but not their sexual chemistry, which I think I would agree. Like they do have like husband and wife and like protector and like Claire, no, or just like respect chemistry that like works, but the bedroom chemistry is a bit off for me.
Let's talk about the rest of the episode. We've discussed it enough. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Geillis in this episode has a very large role. And I kept getting this vibe that she was like her, like it just felt like it felt like they were this, it was like a female villain led thriller, but there was no danger ever. I mean, I wanted them to kind of go at it a little bit more psychologically than they did. And so it kind of, I liked parts of it, but she kind of gave her whole hand away at one point. She's like, just tell me why you're really here. And it just never felt like she was really trying to manipulate Claire out of the truth. And then Claire has puts no effort into manipulating her. And so everything was out on the table, and that just made it feel kind of, I don't want to say boring, but just without the stakes that it should have had. Like they could have really been psychologically like digging into each other, and they weren't.
Yeah, I liked what you said in your recap where you were like, it's two mean girls who know they're both lying and looking for the truth, and they never, they can't decide how they're going to go for it. I was like, come on, just toy with her. Like, Geillis gives away the fact that she didn't know she could go back and forth through the stones. Why isn't Claire like, oh, you can't? Like, oh, well, here's my secret that you don't know. And, mess with her, like you said. And bring up Brianna way earlier, so there are stakes.
Yeah, and in the book, that whole scene from when she sees Geillis at Rose Hall and goes there all the way through the end of the cave, there's there's a lot of, you feel very, like, Claire's in a lot of danger. Like, you don't ever feel like she's kind of got a handle on what's going on. And this one, I didn't really feel like she was ever in danger. One, not because I know what's coming, but because I can see the coincidences piling up, but because they don't speak in a way that makes her feel like she's in any real danger. They're just chummy. And even when they aren't chummy, Claire's just like, oh, let me make you feel better about it. Like, she's not guarded. It's crazy.
Well, and here's a perfect, I don't remember anything. I didn't want her to die. Like, I was like, I got that she was in danger, and I got that she was like going to go back and like maybe do something to Brianna, like a little scary with that creepy lady that saw the vision and like heard Brianna. But like, I was like, no, like they have like a friendship. Like, it's her one person who understands, like, don't kill her. I'm about to cough.
You really covered that up. You muted it right in time. That was excellent. She's got skills.
Sorry. I didn't want her to die. I mean, not just because we talked about it. I think it would be good for the story. But in the moment, I was like, no, like, let's get out of this somehow. Let's keep her. I'm going to cough again. Sorry. Keep talking.
No, I agree with you. She's an interesting character. She's a unique character. I agree that I felt like that they could have portrayed her differently, more sinister, going more deeper psychologically with her and Claire, both very intelligent women. And instead, you're right, it's like two mean girls or frenemies, like, I like you, but I don't like you. And it was cut off too short. There was no development. And I wanted to see more because Geillis is a very complex and unique character. And I just felt like they hit the surface with her.
Yeah, I don't think they established her as enough of a villain to make it, for her to warrant being, having her head almost slashed off. Like, in the books, she was so dangerous that we knew that she had to die or else something bad was going to happen. But in the show, I mean, she killed the old man she was married to that was farting all the time, and it was like, oh well. And then she killed her drunk husband at the pyres, and like, oh well. And like, okay, sure, she's raping the boys, which is awful, but they didn't even make that look evil. They made it look kind of like a seduction. So the way that they portrayed her character didn't warrant fear.
It made her like sexy, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't Geillis like ugly and like overweight and like pimply, like a witch, right? Isn't that
she has syphilis?
Her.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Like, she's syphilis ridden at the end of the book. Like, she's gross.
Right. So like, I mean, obviously, like, that's a terrible thing that like, but that's why serial killers are like attractive men a lot of times, because they like can like, you don't expect it, right? So you see this like beautiful woman and like you don't think of it as so evil, that's just something wrong with us. But there is a problem right there.
We have a couple of requests to talk about Lord John really quickly, and I want to like just take a minute from Geillis. We have to come back to Geillis and the portal pool and talk about Lord John, because if we're going to talk about sexiness and things that are cool and beautiful men and why like sexual chemistry doesn't work, it takes 30 seconds, not even 3 seconds of seeing Lord John and Jamie in the same room, and the sexual tension is ratcheted up a notch. David Barry is fantastic, and I'm not even kidding. I would 100% love for them, not them, but someone to make a Lord John show, because he's so, so great. And like, that chemistry is believable, and you can feel his tension and I'm there for it. It was such a good scene.
Yeah, that scene ended and I was like, well, that's the finale for me. I can just turn it off, because that's all I needed to see. It was awesome. The acting was superb. Jamie looked turned on just watching it. So was I. I was like, wow, he's like really just nailing this. Like, David Barry just got the lines, and like, it was just great to watch him like dress down the lieutenant. He kept saying that. I loved it. It was just how he did it was so good. And the tension, I was like, kiss, kiss, kiss. Do it.
I know. I really, really wanted the kiss, because for Kyle and anybody else who really likes that kind of thing, like me, in the book they do share this really great kiss bits at Hellwater, and it's Jamie kind of giving him a thank you for taking care of Willie and everything that he's done for him, and it would have been a great moment to see it there, since we didn't get it earlier, and it kind of sucked. And I expected it, because in this moment, they legitimately do not know that they will ever see one another again. I mean, Jamie's anticipating that he's going back to Scotland as soon as he finds his nephew. And Lord John you can tell he wants to say more. And their moment should have been a little bit more protracted. But Nikki, you're 100% right that Jamie looked turned on watching him. And that's something that sorry that my tree just came on. It's something that we're missing from Claire, because he's watching John like play chess. He's watching John play chess with what he knows about, British customs and what he knows about this lieutenant and what he can get out of him. And like, he's dominating that room. And Jamie is like watching it like ping pong, but also like, I kind of have a boner right now. This is great. And we never see him get to that point with Claire. Every time Claire does something spectacular or extraordinary, she's doing it under the guise of not listening to Jamie, being stubborn, not doing what he told her to do, or not doing what would keep her safe. And so most of the time when that stuff is happening, there's no room for Jamie to kind of marvel at her. And so we got to see him kind of marvel at this man that he loves platonically. And it was hot because he was into it.
Well, I know we're dying to know what Kyle thinks. And Kyle has let us know in the YouTube comments by saying in all caps, Lord John in my pants. But also Nikki and I have a friend who doesn't watch Outlander, knows enough and has known a lot because of us, but only kind of keeps up with it because she has to for her job. She kind of has to know what's going on. So she watches, like, I guess, previews or just like recaps or something, but she doesn't watch the show. And she texted us this week and said, is there something sort of sexual history between those two guys, between Jamie and Lord John? Because like that I need to know about, that I missed because I don't watch the show. And it was just so perfect because she, who only watches clips or only watches little things and doesn't know anything, like thinks that there is something that she's missed. And I don't blame her. Like, you'd think that from just watching them, which is to show that Sam is a great actor, right? That's there.
Yeah.
It's their chemistry. It's something about them. They just work really well on screen together. Not that Claire and Jamie don't, but it was sexier to watch that back and forth and Jamie just standing to the side and watching it than to listen to them talk about big butts and beards and whatever.
Yeah,
like just
that's exactly that sex talk. Like for me, Lord John calling that guy lieutenant and then getting after, the kid for, on behalf of Jamie, that was sexier. That was sex talk compared to the most awkward sex talk of round bums, rubbing your legs and spread your legs open and rub my thighs. That for me, beyond compare, I was like this the whole time, like, oh, Lord John, don't leave. And then it was just this, okay, goodbye, Jamie. Goodbye, John. And that was it. And it was like, no. 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes.
Claire's finally not there. Like, let's do this thing. Like, it's fine. But I think that Jamie tends to speak to other men or other characters that aren't Claire in such a way that's a little bit more the way he should be talking to Claire, even when they're being sexy. Like before he gets taken into Lord John's office, he's just talking to Captain Leonard and he's like, he's just like, well, I kind of wish that the porpoise had blown you away, like blown you to Havana. And Captain Leonard looks at him and he says, you're awfully droll for a man in irons. And Jamie just has this smirk on his face. That is Jamie. Sam's doing a really, really great job. But what he's doing there is being the sexy, sultry, like Jamie that he needs to be when he's saying things to Claire as well. And I don't think that he's ever been directed that way. He's never been directed to be a little bit more droll, a little bit more sarcastic, a little bit easier with her. Every time that it's time for them to get romantic, it's this deep, the Jamie and Claire themes coming in and Bear's coming in with the calypso drum, and they've got to like really bring it home. And really the truth is they don't need to bring it home. He needs to have that slyness, that like sarcasm and that like undercurrent of intelligence and wit. And that's what makes him sexy. And he never does that in scenes with her.
No. So wait, side note, because I don't listen to this when I'm doing the tweeting and stuff. They in the book in the scene that he does kiss Lord John. That's when it happens.
No, it happens back in Hellwater. When they're saying
did that. We want that. Everybody would want that. They have to look at the two of them and know that there's chemistry. Why did they not put that in? Why do we think?
Because Jamie and Claire are the ultimate romance and no one can be better than them. That's the only thing it goes back to for me. I think they like make these, I just think they like make these choices of like bodice ripper, Harlequin romance, like hot man that they think. And actually it's like sarcastic, you know, witty, like those kind of things. I don't know if it's just us, but that we want to see that is hotter than.
Well, it's us and all the people watching us, because that's what everybody's saying on YouTube. Yeah. Like they love them.
Yeah. And I mean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier about how they kind of infantilize Jamie when it comes to Claire. And so even when he's, you know, king of men or whatever, like there's always this undercurrent of they're kind of stupid together. Like nothing that they're really saying to one another is, goes beyond the surface of what you would consider a romantic entanglement. Like there's like that when we were talking about verbatim Voyager earlier in the year before the season started, one of the main things that we all said we'd wanted to hear was that part where he says, you know, I've been so many things throughout the years. I was Jamie Roy on the docks, and I was A. Malcolm in the print shop, and I was MacDo in Ardsmuir, and I was Mackenzie at Hellwater, whatever. I've been all these things throughout the years. And he was like, but here with you in the dark, I have no name. And what a huge moment for him, like thematically throughout the book, but also like a moment to have that's calm and serious with her, and shows the undercurrent of what their relationship is about and how like solid bedrock it is, that it's not just about her ass, and it's not just about that they have a good sex life, and it's not just about like some weird mystical thing that holds them together, that there's a bedrock there that's very, very real and is founded in something more than just the physical. And we never really get to see them do that. We did in season 1 to some degree, but it was in the midst of like super, super heightened circumstances. So when their circumstances are no longer heightened, like at the end of this episode, and things were okay and they were back on their way home, we get this silliness. And the silliness is great, but it needs to be girded with the bedrock of who they really are together.
Just a quick perspective from our fellow gay friend, Kyle. He says, there's still an intense fear around two gay guys kissing in Hollywood, I think. Shows are more okay with girl-girl kissing in relationships because it's sexier. That's what he feels about it. That's why they never show two guys kissing and always go for female nudity and sexuality.
Well, and Andy writes on Twitter that because the certain group of fans would wig out if that kiss ever happened. So there's a certain demographic.
The Venn diagram of Trump fans versus.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing a minute ago when we were talking about it, was that the demographics are different, and they think, you know, the show's all about the female gaze, and the females that they're thinking about are the women who are going to be like, my Jamie would never touch a man, you know, and he hates men, and what happened to him with Blackjack was the worst thing that ever happened to him. He would never kiss Lord John, and I just took that part of my copy of Voyager and burned it in the fires. So my point is that yes, they're not going to accept that, but they don't understand the female gaze, number one, if they think that we don't like seeing hot guys kissing. And number two, like, that's not necessarily your demographic. And also they don't matter as much as you think that they do. And if they've read the books and it's in the books, they'll pretty much accept anything that's in the books. So it's not something they need to worry about. But Andy's completely right. That's very true.
That sounded like your Doug Jones voting voice.
You mean my Roy Moore voting joy?
Yeah. No, we don't speak that name on this program.
Vote for Doug Jones tomorrow, Outlander fans. Yeah. Redeem yourselves, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, can we? Should we talk about Fergus and Marsali for like a hot minute? That they were only on for a minute.
Yeah, because that's all they were on, and it made me like sad. I wanted to see more of them, but I don't really know how they would have fitted into this episode. But
well,
bring them on.
What?
I
mean, it makes her so likable because she's like You're not like going without me. I'm your wife. Like she like fights back. Like she's a really likable character.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're the smartest people there. Who obviously should you have immediately gone to when the shit hit the fan? Lord John Grey, the governor, who's your buddy. Why would that not have been your first place to go, Claire?
No.
Well,
and let's
I think
leave
because
it to the two
Claire doesn't
folks.
Like him.
I think that Claire is resentful of him and maybe doesn't even understand how close they are, to the point, even though that he's taking care of Willie, like maybe doesn't know that he would take care of Jamie at that point. And she's like focusing on going to get Ian. But that's the only reason. Fergus obviously knows that Lord John is going to be there for Jamie, so he like runs out and does that. But I can't wait to see more of them in season 4.
Yeah.
I hope we see a whole lot of them. I think that they're great together. I think their chemistry is very good and very realistic. And they've made them characters I really want to root for. Go ahead, Heidi.
I love when she said Fergus Fraser. She called him his full name. I was like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, that's cute.
Changing topics, there's one thing I do want to discuss, and that was when they end the moment I thought the episode was going to air or end, and then I realized there's like 30 more minutes of awkward sex talk. That was the scene where Claire is at the one we get the return of a random voiceover. That's when I noticed the pool was the portal. It's like great, but that whole thing with her just standing there and being drawn to it, like, seriously? I mean, I that for me was so soap opera, dramatic, just unnecessary. I just did not like that part.
Also, with the stones on the top of the cave, I was like, is that even in the book? Because we're not stupid. Like, why are there standing stones in Jamaica? I was like, that is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And we didn't need a voiceover. Just show her, like, kind of looking at it, you know, being drawn to it.
Let the pool start humming, and then you know what I mean? Like, and when did she start using the word portal? This particular time when she saw a pool instead of a stone? It was so stupid. Not only that, it worked. The cave worked like the end of every YA novel ever. It might as well have been the Chamber of Secrets. Like, it had the exact same plot line. Like, nothing new happened. She even like got a sword and cut her throat off. Like, she was the basilisk. It was so stupid. And I realize that like a lot of that kind of happens that way in the book. But again, the danger in the book is incredibly heightened. And that pool was lame. You couldn't even really tell how the cave was laid out enough to tell like how the stone would have made a pool portal. Like, just make a cave that's got some stones and like flat stones in a circle. It was so stupid. I have never.
It was the one. It was a moment which I felt like, okay, she's got young Ian right there. She just doused him with a bunch of liquor. Like, start putting the flame closer and closer to him. The excitement of that scene just was, and then the pool and Claire, I just realized that was when the portal, it just, for me, once again, it's that notion of Outlander, people who are watching this we're pretty smart. You know, I believe we're intelligent. We could have figured that out ourselves. So that, Nick, you're right. It was that notion of there's the stones, the exact same looking stones, and then there's a pool. So is it the stones? Is the pool? And then her just like staring at it and walking towards it, and he's like, Claire, you know, like,
and like have Geillis go ahead and set, you know, Ian on fire, and then have him, like, once they get her out, like, have him roll into the water and let it be Claire like reaching for him in the water that like pulls her into the portal, and then Jamie yanks them both out. Like, do something else. Ian's not going to go through the portal. He's not a traveler. Like, do something that gives that moment. That moment should have been way stretched out in terms of the danger and the stakes and like what's going to happen in that cave. Like, it just we knew it was going to happen. Like, it was obvious that she was going to die that way, and
exactly
that Jamie and Claire and Ian were never in any real danger. The guy should have shot at Jamie as soon as he came in there and just missed. You know, or hit him and like knocked him. Something else there just should have been more.
People keep saying in the YouTube comments that the stones never called to Claire. Like, that was just not. Like, that wasn't. I don't know. I don't know that obviously.
called to her, but she heard them when she would get close to them. But I don't think she was like,
I think
I
that's
gotta go.
Right. That's what
she heard it. She would hear them.
I think
but
there's a point in the first book where she goes, she's not meaning to leave, but I think it's the first time that he takes her back to Crengadune, and she goes and she's near it. She's nearing the cleft in the rock, right? And he pulls her back and he tells her, like, I could see you leaving, like you were going. And he just got scared and pulled her back to him.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that that's kind of like she does have kind of a pull to it. I don't think it's like I don't think it's like a hypnosis that the hum, gets her there or anything like that. But
also, they had they were doing some sort of ceremony down below, like they did for Samhain, which you pointed out. I think it was, I don't know if you put it in your post or if that was in text messages, Beth, but so it probably was equinox or solstice or whatever it was. So the call would be stronger, and that's why Geillis would have picked that night. But I did like that they pulled the ceremony and turned it more into like a ceremony about the cave. That was really well done. Instead of just being like some random, I don't know, African
pseudo-African
ritual.
I know. And like I don't know what they were trying to do, but like sort of appropriation. But they tried to make it into paralleled with the what are they called? The witches, but they're not witches. They're whatever they are in Scotland.
The druids.
Druids.
Yeah,
that's
the
what
druids.
Druids. Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought that was pretty
talk about that scene. Libby and Margaret. I was like, finally, we get like a really good character that we adapted from a shitty character. It came full circle. And he was like, well, peace out. We're leaving. We're going to Martinique. That's where the sandals resort is.
That is new, right? That they do fall in love. Because isn't that what we talked about last week? Like, why do they have such a connection? Is he actually into her? Is he just finding camaraderie in her? Like, they actually like love each other, which I thought was cute. It was just a little surprising because
it was cute. It just wasn't obvious because I know a lot of us talked about it last week. We're like, are they drawn to each other? Is it just because they're both freaks of nature, or like,
and also, I mean, it gives Willoughby a reason to kill Archie Campbell. But again, the death of Archie Campbell isn't important here. It's not important in this story at all. They could have taken it out completely. But like, they also, Margaret and Willoughby were both in Edinburgh at the same time. If they wanted us to care about whether or not they were together, give us that story throughout the entire season. Let Willoughby be willing to go on the voyage with Jamie and Claire to find young Ian, because he also knows that someone he cares about is being mistreated and he couldn't save her in Scotland. Like, there's a whole lot they could have done with that if that's what they wanted to pull into. And we didn't get it. I am glad that Willoughby got agency, got a voice. It was a ridiculous amount of coincidences that allowed these African slaves to understand what he was saying in English enough to let Jamie and Claire go. But I'll suspend that disbelief for him to like be a hero for a moment. So.
Yeah, I think it's beating a dead horse at this point, but I'm going to beat a little more. And we've talked about it in probably every episode that I've been on here. Is that they keep refusing to draw out these B storylines and make them something bigger and more important to the viewer and more important to the story. Last week we talked about what if young Ian had met the slave guy, I can't remember his name, Temaray, on the ship. And, what if Willoughby had actually seen Margaret at some other point earlier in the story? You build this up, it's so much more payoff at the end of the day. And I don't know what the scarcity or why they're scared to draw these storylines out. I don't know.
I think they're just chopping up the book and trying to get certain scenes and certain events happening, and they're not really thinking that through. And it's unfortunate. I can't think of anything that they really pulled all the way through, except, and let's just talk about this, because this is something they tried to pull all the way through the season, and I cannot think of anything more lame. The rabbit and the sparrow. I wanted to scream at how banal that particular theme that they were trying to show us through the whole season. They're like, did you see the rabbit? Did you see the rabbit? Jamie's been sleeping with a stuffed rabbit the whole time. Like, did you notice? Who gives a shit? that Brianna had a baby rabbit. Who gives a flying fuck all? That is the dumbest thing. You could have given us so much more throughout this season. And instead we get the rabbit and the sparrow in the finale. I have never been more perplexed than that when that showed up. I was mad.
Well,
and confused.
it was so ridiculous. And you just look at it and you're like, oh, come on. I mean, when they did that scene, the rabbit and the sparrow at the windowsill. Oh, Mommy, Mom, I miss you. Don't let the monster come, Mom. Like I was
what
like,
was that? What's the monster?
Was she supposed to be mimicking
Geillis? Geillis was the monster.
But then I'm just like
thinly veiled too.
Yeah.
Like,
And Brianna can see the monster. And and look at us. I know our haters are going to be like, they're so hateful. And look, they don't even understand what the monster was. Oh no, I get it. It's just so dumb and vague.
It was so uncomfortable.
That it's stupid.
yeah, and you think if Margaret, this like all-seeing seer who can like see the future, figure out prophecies, she grabs their hand and that's the hot moment she goes to, like, ooh, I saw the rabbit. No, these people have gone through the craziest stuff in the world. Those are the things you're gonna see.
Yeah.
Who cares
you don't
about
see
the
Claire's from
bird?
you don't see that Claire's from the goddamn future.
Yeah.
But you see
Say
that he
something about
saw a
that.
rabbit.
Yeah,
That just
and she
is
saw a
dumb.
sparrow. She's the worst fortune teller ever then. She is like, that would be the person who would stop you on the side of the road and said, the snail crosses your path. Be forewarned. And you just go, you're on acid, and you walk away.
Your dog will die eventually.
Jana on Twitter says, I'm pretty sure the rabbit and the sparrow were named Leslie and Hayes.
Oh, the new Rupert and Angus.
Oh,
That we'll
That's a
never
good one,
see
yeah.
again. We'll never see them.
Oh man.
Well, there are some good like overall thoughts that are on here. I'm losing everything, but like, hold on. It was on Twitter that I saw, but basically Andy said that was our biggest complaint with the season. They're not caring about these great minor characters at all. There's one that I think I lost, but here it is. It's from Xemina. I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry. Show more, tell less. It's the biggest weakness of the show. That's kind of just the thing that I keep seeing. We need, that one was funny actually. They're BR storylines. Oops, it's too many storylines when you have to give them all even just 5 minutes, and it's half of a goddamn episode.
yeah.
So I think that's like an overall takeaway, is that there's too many of these storylines that we don't care about, instead of like telling us the things that we could actually care about, to focus on Jamie and Claire in these ways that like aren't working.
Yeah. I mean, if you really feel like you can't fit everything in, really consider what you can leave out. Can you leave out Father Fogden and Mamacita? Yeah, you fucking can. You don't need that shit. Like I'm sorry I'm cussing so much. I'm kind of irritated. But like you don't need that. So if you're really concerned about that, like make other choices, make harder choices to cut in order to make better storytelling choices. My friend Brittany, Gray Brit on Twitter said, like, why are Claire and Fergus not speaking in 6 episodes?
Yeah,
that's another thing. Like, that relationship is completely like taken for granted because we've been like Mamacita, and even Claire and Geillis's relationship in this episode overtook a lot of the storyline. So it's crazy. Anyway,
Kyle,
we do like
Kyle. Well, hold on. Kyle's asking, because Kyle's our non-book reader. I mean, there's a couple of you out there, but he asks, are the books filled with this bad crap too, or is it just a TV show making bad decisions? So it's interesting, like the perspective. Again, there are tons of book readers that love it and also feel the same way we do, and there's tons of non-book readers that are like have lost hope in it, and haven't been watching anymore, or ask the same questions that Kyle is.
Yeah,
but I think
that the books, if you take, that's very much the case where you can like the books and watch the show and like it, or you can read the books and like, but the truth is the books have a lot of these coincidences as well, but they do flesh out a lot of stuff more. Of course, all books do, but it has problematic stuff in it as well. It's just a matter, and there's reasons that a lot of people are like, I'm not reading those books anymore because of X, Y, and Z. So they've improved on some things, but I mean, the books are great, but they're great for some of the things that the show is doing a really bad job of adapting.
while we're finding a winner, which we are currently trying to do, why don't we each say something that we did like, our favorite thing of the season? If you can think of one. Besides that it's over, what is your favorite thing of the season?
I don't want to go first. I have to think for a minute.
All right, I'll take the easy one then. I really liked Jamie and Lord John Grey's relationship. I took it. Now you guys can talk about it. But wait, before we go though, someone needs to talk about the hair and the water and the whole scene. You guys need to talk about.
Her like dying when she died.
Yeah. Who's gonna talk about the Twilight moment?
Her Twilight moment that you just expected Edward to become like this way Twilight. And then just make eye contact.
I don't know what else to say about it.
It was wonderful. It was a nice shout out, unexpected and unintentional on their point, but the rest of us were dying and laughing.
I don't think that either one of them would have survived that. So I would have preferred. No. I would have preferred something a little less pretty and dramatic in favor of something a little bit more realistic. Yeah. Because that looked like she was dead. There's no way she wasn't going to die.
And she was being pulled down. It looked like part of the bow was twisted around her and she was pulled down quickly. And then Jamie comes in like a shark torpedo and you're just like, that is not humanly possible.
And then like gives her mouth underwater.
Yeah. And why did they show him dropping the dirk? Like what did that serve? I was like,
he's got to let some of the weight go.
No, no reason. It just there it went.
And then all of a sudden they're like on the water and they're doing this Titanic thing where they find a pseudo, piece of driftwood, and the next thing you know, they're magically on land, like only like 5 feet away from each other.
They made it.
They made it. Congratulations.
Outlander magic.
Well, speaking of beautiful.
Speaking of magic, we have HangOutlander magic. We have picked our winner of the best gift thus far of this season, which is the tote bag that we're giving away. Nick, you missed that. We're giving away. I've been hoarding a tote bag all season long from Comic-Con. It's great. And we're going to give that to Jay Lachey from Twitter for Endurance 97. So give us shoot us an email at admin@thats-normal.com and with your name and address.
And did anybody on Twitter tell us their favorite part of the whole season?
What about you guys over in? Hold on.
I'll go. There were so many hot, like super high moments, like amazing, like oh my god, the show is like turned around from season 2, and then like so many low moments that I have a hard time picking. But I think they chose some really good moments to adapt. I'm hoping in season 4 that they really take to heart. I hope they watch every HangOutlander and take to heart the spirit of adaptation that we really want them to do, and the spirit of editing. Cut down on stuff that is unnecessary. I really, really hope that they do that so we can actually make it through season 4.
I have 2 favorite moments. One, I really liked how they showed her perspective of coming back and going and walking into the print shop, and then his perspective.
Yeah.
So I combined those 2, and I'm going to say it because I don't care anymore, and I think the hottest scene was the Geneva scene. Mm-hmm. Sorry. It was, that was a hot sex scene. And unfortunately that should not have been the hottest sex scene this season. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diana.
That episode was great.
I think it's Diana Anderson. Yeah. On YouTube was asking if we liked anything about this finale. And I responded and said, well, I think I did. And I think I would say overall about the finale, what I liked is that it moved. I felt like you're right. There was a point when you're like, oh, it's almost over. And then you realize it wasn't almost over. So it was like watching 2 episodes back to back. But if you look at it that way, I think it did move compared to definitely the last 6 episodes. And it like worked as a story and I was interested and engaged with it. But when we pick apart these little sections of it, that is when it doesn't work. But I think if you look at it as like a thing, you're like, okay, it worked. I sat through an hour. I watched it. I keep saying that. But I mean, that is something that I'm saying that I don't normally say about this show. So that's what I think I did like about it compared to the others. And you guys have taken all the good things about this season so far. So Lord John. You have another?
I'll answer Diana too. Like this is not a bad episode of television. It's watchable and it's entertaining. It has some pacing issues and there's some coincidence stuff going on that kind of makes it weird. And I really wish that I could know for sure that they're going to treat people of color with a little bit more dignity than they did in the last couple of episodes. And I can't say that. I have no idea if that voodoo scene was honest and respectful, and I can't even talk about it because I don't know. And from what I can tell, maybe, but also maybe not at all. So I mean, I don't know what to say about that. But I did love what I really loved, and when I wrote my recap, like I probably did not give this as much weight as it should have had because it really was my favorite part of the episode, was just when Jamie was done rescuing Ian and he just held them both and said, "We're okay, but first let me hold you both." Like that's very Jamie Fraser, and that's one of the things that it draws you to him as a romantic hero, is that he's he's a bulwark in a storm, and he's the one that they can go to and lean on, and he's there for them. So I love that part, and I love seeing him. I loved everything about that particular scene. So that was this episode for me. That's some of the things that I liked about it.
Yeah, I think we come across as critical, but I think that's also because we love this story. You don't take time out of your schedule every week to get on here if you don't love it. You don't take 4 or 5, 6 hours to write a recap because that's how long it takes if you don't love it. We wouldn't be here if we didn't like this story. So I think we talk critically about it because we know what really good TV can be like, and we know this story could be really good TV. So I think it's just critical for entertainment, but also critical because we want the best for this story. We want everyone to watch it because we really like it. So we bitch and complain a lot because we want the best.
Right.
And also criticism allows you to think. I think that people think that criticism is mean. When you think about something critically, it allows you to think about it in new ways that allow you to grow. I mean, I was just watching season 2 of The Crown and thinking, oh, I really want to recap this season. And I thought, oh, is that going to like take my enjoyment away from it if I like nitpick it? And then I was like, no, this TV show is really great. And then as I started to like make a list of the things I wanted to say, I was noticing the things that I thought were wrong. And because that's just what you do when you're really, really, really focused in on something. And that's what we've been doing with this show since it started, is focusing in on every little look and every line delivery and all of those things. And so when it sounds like we're just being critical, the reality is we're enjoying it. It's a process of growth. It's a process of like coming from, this was the greatest thing I ever saw in my whole life, to like actually critically engaging with it and allowing you to have either a better appreciation for the characters or a better appreciation for yourself and how you enjoy art. So it's not a bad thing. And nobody that hates us has gotten this far in a HangOutlander, so I'm not really sure why I'm going into this, but that's how I come across. I don't criticize it because I hate it and I want to be mean and I think I'm smarter than everybody else.
I hate watching Outlander. No.
Not at all. It's a growth process for us. And when we do hate it, then like that kind of shows.
I don't think we would ever watch something with the intensity that we watch Outlander if we hated it that much. And I think of it too, like you guys were saying, like I think of it like the mind of an English teacher. If I'm critiquing your paper, if I'm looking at a rough draft or anything like that, and I'm writing, okay, this is what you should do. This is maybe move this around a little bit. That's because I care and I want you as a student to be a better writer. I don't hate your writing. I just think there's possibility in your writing, and that's how I feel about the show. There's so many possibilities in the show, and the show, like Nikki said, this show, the books are amazing. The show, there are amazing moments that we see these little glimmers of. Excuse me, I won't even say glimmers. There's moments that are amazing, but we think there could be even more moments that are amazing. Yeah. And just because you critique something, it's constructive criticism. And when people comment, oh, you hate the show, you guys don't like the show. No, we do. We just also believe that there could be more. Totally. We believe in the show. How's that? We believe in the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So sometimes. Well, and to be fair, like our Outlander group has been larger at times. Like we've had other people that have been on HangOutlander with other people who have recapped the show, and there are I mean, half of the people that do that for that us, if that's normal, aren't watching Outlander anymore. Not because of us and what we say on HangOutlander. Like, they've given up on the show this season. So we're like the gang that's still left. There's others. There's definitely others. But there's definitely people that you guys have heard of, that you guys have read recaps from, that are no longer watching Outlander.
Yeah. And that's the thing with offering the critiques, is that while I don't have any delusions of grandeur and think that the, CEO of Stars and all of these people are watching this every week, I really want them to know that a lot of people don't watch this anymore, and there are ways to make this better. And we still really love this story. Like, those are the things I wish I could say to them. Hi, CEO and story showrunners and people who aren't watching.
I mean, there's ways to make HangOutlander better.
Totally.
We're not sitting around being like, guys, we have the storytelling genes. We know how to do it. Like, there's obviously ways to make it better. And it's just a weird way to engage with the show, to be this involved in it. And so, if you've enjoyed HangOutlander, you're probably just like us. Like, you enjoy it, but at the same time, you're frustrated that it's not everything that it could be. And that is that's the bottom line for this show. It's good, but it is not great. And the truth of the matter is, those books are great, especially Voyager. It's a super good book. And so the fact that the show isn't great is incredibly, incredibly frustrating when you love it. If we didn't love it, it wouldn't be as frustrating. So that's kind of the bottom line for me on this season. Like, I want the show to be really, really great and I want to have the same experience watching it as I do when I read the books. And that's not the case. And that's sad. And I wish I did. And until I do, I'll keep critiquing it in this way. So quit chatting at me and telling me not to laugh, because now I want to laugh.
We have some people who need to pee and others that have to go to bed. I'm the person that has to go to bed. So we're done. This is it, guys. What are we going to do? We're not going to talk for see you. It's been great being friends with you guys this year. See you next year. Just kidding.
We have some cool things planned. Some fun Outlander themed series coming up on the website. I don't know if we want to tease those, but they're coming up. So we'll have plenty of stuff for you to read, even when there are no shows. And I'm sure we'll be on here at some point talking about them.
If you'd like hangouts, we have a hangout next week planned for Boozy Book Club. Do you want to join us?
Books. Like, there's other good books out there besides Outlander, and we read them. So
it's amazing. The Hate You Give is the main book, and Jane Unlimited by Kristen Cashore. So join us next week. Talk to us about books. Even if you haven't read those books, you'll really enjoy the chat.
Yeah.
And then enjoy your holidays. Happy Hanukkah tomorrow, folks.
Hanukkah tomorrow? Dang.
Okay. Light those candles.
All right. Julie's going to pee her pants, so we got to go.
Goodbye, HangOutlander fans.
Bye,
it's been lovely. We love you all. Adios.